And if you're trying to discover what it is that you're going to be excelling in as a trader, while doing that and allowing other people to give you feedback, and sometimes you know what's going to happen, going to show up because they suck. They literally can't do it themselves, and they want to make themselves feel good if they can wreck your mindset. So deny them that and still do what you're doing. And the people that have looked at what I do and look past the things I told you to look past that, if it's real, you'll see it. If it resonates with you, run with it. And if you have the passion to stick with it, you will be profitable. You will fucking make fucking money here. And that's just the way it is. But you have to be here every day learning what it is that you have to discover is going to be the reasons why you're going to derail. Because you will. And how you react and how you think about yourself, your trading, and this industry. Once you experience loss, one of the best things that could ever happen is for you to experience losing an account. What did he say? Yeah, that's the worst thing in your mind that could ever happen right now as a student, right? That's the worst thing. How could anybody say that's the best thing? Because you'll know what it feels like to have one moment where you didn't even see it coming, and then boom, you don't have anything in the account, at least not enough to take another trade. I think every trader needs to experience that, because then you'll respect the risk. What happens if you do blow an account, but you don't respect the risk and you go out there and you just do the same thing with the second one? Here's what you're not observing. What you're seeing in that, but ignoring, is that you are impulsive and a gambler. And that means you have to do some work. You have to correct that. And it's not easy because you are the person that's driving that. And you're doing it recklessly because you need an outside of you, confirmation. That's why you're doing it. You're trying to do something Olympic-sized, over-leveraging an account, trying to get some kind of big win, so that way you can feel like you are formidable. You can make a lot of money. Look at this. This makes you a good trader. No, it doesn't. It does not make you a good trader. It makes you an impulsive gambler. And guess what? Sometimes impulsive gamblers go to casinos and make a lot of money. But impulsive gamblers don't go to casinos every day or every week or every month of the year and make lots of money. Professional gamblers are not impulsive gamblers. They're calculated money managers, and they're utilizing the cards as what? Their multiplier. They don't know what the next turn on that card is going to be. They don't know what hand's going to be given to them. They don't know. And they embrace that uncertainty, which is the equivalent of us doing what in trading? We don't know what that next candle is going to do. They could drop a bomb somewhere, and boom, the market gaps completely outside what your chart's showing, especially some of you, what I was talking about today in the lecture this morning. You're so zoomed in and you had just a handful of candlesticks. Like, it's only going to move 10 handles at most. Like, you have to have some data on your chart. That's the reason why you're not holding your trades as long, because you have no visibility. You're too close to the forest, or too close to the trees to see the forest. You have your nose on one tree, and the only thing you can see is that bark on that one tree. But what you go through and the things that you're experiencing, and then you say, oh, fuck, this fucking trade, that's negative self-talk. And that negative self-talk has such an impact, such a huge impact on what you're going to do. And you're doing it, you're doing it in a setting that's absolutely incredible in terms of difficulty, which takes huge fucking balls. Like, to do that, number one, in front of anybody, in a live audience setting, takes a lot of courage. And if you're trying to discover what it is that you're going to be excelling in as a trader, while doing that and allowing other people to give you feedback, and sometimes you know what's going to happen, assholes are going to show up because they suck. They literally can't do it themselves, and they want to make themselves feel good if they can wreck your mindset. So deny them that and still do what you're doing. If you're distracted with what other people are saying, like, why don't you try to trade like this? And why don't you, fuck that opinion or question. Who gives a shit? You know what you want to do when you see it in the chart, like anybody else. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. That's the thing you're looking for. You're waiting for that thing. And if you let other people get inside your head and take your mind off of what it is you're looking for, whether it be a student of mine or whether it be someone that's pretending to be a student of mine by talking shit about me, which I think is really what's going on. I think there's people out there, and you know who I'm talking about. Well, when you're trading and you get that high of a big win, that's a high that you want to get back almost limitlessly. Like you want, as soon as you got out of the trade, you're thinking, man, that was great. Let me go again. Like there's something in the chart that's going to give you that same 15 handle run again. It's done. Like you got to stop. So a lot of the things that I hear him talk about, whether he realizes it, is some of the things I've been talking about in my lectures. I'm using him as like a model to help coach. While I'm not actively saying I'm teaching him, I'm using the things that he's making public as a point of concern for himself or personal goals, or he's reflecting on what he feels he's done incorrectly and wishes he had a way to overcome it. I'm using that model of him and what he's focusing on or contending with. I'm using that in my lectures. So while I'm not drawing special attention, obviously you know now, but I'm not trying to say, look, I'm your mentor. Yeah, that's not what it is. I'm just trying to be a help. That's all. And hopefully, by this real world person trying to do this, if you can learn from the advice I'm giving and say he doesn't take this in consideration and doesn't do anything with it, or tries it and says it didn't work for me, okay, that's fine. Somebody else that's listening to everything I'm doing might warm up to the idea and it fits them perfectly. It may be the very things that they've wrestled with, and then now they figured out that thing that was a hindrance, the thing that was the problem, the rock in their shoe, if you will. Once they remove it, then they can walk, without a limp. They can get right to where they're going with no reason to feel like they're being impeded and slowed down. They won't have that fear of holding on to a trade. They won't have a fear of being stopped out, because they know what they're looking for is going to repeat over and over and over again. And it's one thing to have a model that you think is good when you first start finding profitability. That might be a profitable model, but what tends to happen is you try to demand more than what the model can provide. And that's the reason why I have to have different setups. I'm not comfortable accepting a one trick, one pony type thing. I can't, my mind won't let that happen. Especially knowing what I know about price and how it delivers, I know there's a plethora of things that I can utilize to get into other setups. And I try to showcase that. And unfortunately, what that has done is created an insatiable desire for everyone else to do all those things too. And you're equating that is the only way of determining success with me. Or you're not a real ICT student unless you can do everything that I've ever taught about. And that's not true. All you need to be able to do is find one setup. And I've done my best, and I don't know how to do it any better than stripping it down to simply 5 handles. And I talked about in a Twitter space last week how that might not be. You might go after those 5 handles. And like I'm teaching my son Cameron, and what I mentioned also in the Twitter space is that what happens if you're trying to start off as that 5 handle trader, and you're going to find that can be found a lot intraday. Lots of opportunities of that occurring. And you can be bias neutral, meaning you don't have to have the bias correct. So for the folks that are struggling with bias right now, I'm giving you a way to study and look for setups and it's such a small range of movement and price. 5 handles is nothing. Like, it's literally nothing. But for you, it may not have probably seemed like worth it at all, because you hear other people saying, "Ah, ha, ha, 5 handles, you got a little dick." Yeah, no. 5 handles can change your entire life if you know how to find them consistently. High frequency algorithms are taking many times huge numbers of trades just to get less than 1 handle move. So who's fucking laughing? Okay, the clowns that have an ego problem and have a superiority complex, and they have a small audience. That's the ones that are bitching and making up bullshit. So you shouldn't listen to those people anyway. But what happens if you're aiming for those 5 handles, but you don't have the confidence yet because you're new, and that's understandable, but you take it off when you get 3 handles, and you do that for months until you find that level of comfort doing it, because some of it is going to be requiring you to do things longer than you think it's going to take right now. And when I just said that, several months, and some of the trolls are snickering and laughing. He said, "Dude, 3 handles for months," because this is hard for some people. It's scary. Like, I had to overcome a lot just to get into trades in 1992. Like, it was scary after my first trade, which I impulsively just jumped in because I had to just do something. I felt like I had to do it. And if I could be honest for a second, it was much like when, maybe this doesn't make sense. I think I've talked about this before. My son Caleb said that he understands this perfectly, but it might be a byproduct of us having the same DNA too. But have you ever drove your car? And I promise we'll come back to the 3 handle and 5 handle. I promise we're going to go right back to that. But when we have episodes where we are driving, okay, just say I've experienced that, or if you never experienced it but you think it's fucking weird and funny, respond on Twitter too. That way I know everybody's awake still. But you ever drive your car on a bridge and start questioning yourself, what happens if I just jerk the wheel to the right really hard and just go off of it? Like, and did you ever feel that and begin to fear your body just doing it out of just like it's going to do it and you had no say in it, and fearing that your arm's just going to do it like a knee-jerk reaction, like a reflex? It sounds crazy to some people, but I promise you, in this audience, I guarantee you, some of you have experienced that. And you're thinking, man, I hope I don't drive off this bridge. You don't do it, but sometimes you start questioning, like, what happens if that happened? That would be embarrassing. No, you're going to fucking prison. Not prison, but you're going to the grave. And if you turn into a crowd of people, or do something like that into another car, you're going to injure somebody, then you're going to go to jail, right? Or die in the process. That moment when I got in my first trade in 1992, and I did that orange juice option, it was almost like that same feeling. Like, it felt like it was an overwhelming, I have to do something, and almost like I didn't have any control over it. Like, I literally was pushed subconsciously to make a dumb decision. And I know, looking backwards at that moment, how it was one of the most reckless and just careless decisions I've ever done with money. And obviously the outcome showed me that that was careless. I lost 50% of what I put up in the option, which was a lot of money to me back then. And I just closed the account immediately after that. I said, okay, send me my money. I wasn't ready. I was scared that I was going to do something like that again and lose the rest of it, right? So you might have those impulses where you're fearful of what you might do to yourself in trading, which is what I had, and I had to be conditioned to go in looking at the market from a different approach than just one entry technique. It feels too, in my opinion, because I wrestle with all this bullshit, obsessive compulsive disorder, it feels too myopic for me to know only one way of getting into a marketplace. in my opinion, of a highly efficient trader, they should have more than one way to get in. And I felt if I didn't have that, I was not properly equipped to trade. So I wanted to have a repertoire of things. Because in my mindset was, I'll have a tool for whatever the fuck they bring to me. Whatever that market's going to do today, I will have a trade. Now, I can do that today, but admittedly, that was a dumb decision, which caused me to make a lot of tweaks and mess with stuff and blow accounts trying to make things happen when I didn't have any proof behind what it was I was trying to force as a trader when I first started. And for some, if you listen to me as a benchmark of 5 handles, you're starting from ground zero. So 5 handles is a huge win. If you just get that one time a week and you stop and you don't lose it, that's a good thing. That's good. Especially if you're doing it with a one mini contract. You're doing $1,250 a week. Well, that's not entirely true, is it? If you're doing it multiple times each week, you can build it up to that, like 25 handles. But if you do it every single day, do that, you're going to get it that way. But if you just, right now, for instance, the folks that are in Africa, you are challenged financially right now. And in Nigeria, there's a whole lot of shit going on. If you made $250 a week, just a week, that's life-changing over there. And some of you have done the math on that thinking, man, I'm going to live a whole different lifestyle once this starts happening for me. But in the United States here, unfortunately, and this is not that you talk down to anybody else in another country, but $250 doesn't even pay my fucking cable bill per month. So here we have a lot of expenses and we live lives that are really bloated with things that are just overpriced. And I'm not exempt to that. But these 5 handles can make a major dent, even with what I spend a month. I've already told you, $1,500, $1,300, $1,200 of groceries. And I have not my full family. My 3 older children, they have their own places. They're outside my house. And I still have to pay a lot of money. In my opinion, that's a lot of money for groceries. So I know that all of you that aren't making a lot of money right now, and you're making whatever your job pays, and you have your families, you have your bills, your ends to meet, and you have all this stuff going on around us that's causing shit to get really expensive. Like really expensive. It irks me to see what they're making people pay for now. And going to the grocery store and seeing how much shit costs, it's nuts. So now, bring that into the equation, trolls. And folks that are trying to learn how to do this, they've never done it before. You have to have a goal to reach that's realistic, that it's rewarding if you hit it. And now, I give you what? You aim for the 5, but to give yourself confidence, as soon as you get 3, close it and watch and see how many times it goes to the 5. That's what I had to do to build my confidence to get into trades. I conditioned myself that way. Cameron's in the process of going through that. He's going to go through that same process of, you're looking for 5. As soon as you get 3, you're going to close it and then watch it. Does it deliver the 5? How long does it take? How much drawdown did you experience from the point of where you took off the 3 handles in that one contract move? How much time did it take in drawdown before it went to the 5, or did it ever go there? Those things you keep a running log of. And you're going to be doing these multiple times intraday, which is why I'm telling you to get your $10,000 demo trade or demo account ready. Because I want you to be doing one mini, yes, with a $10,000 account, because I want you to see the effects of rushing in underfunded, but I'm going to show you how to correct the drawdown too. You're all going to create the drawdown because you're going to be doing things through ignorance. But I will teach you how to fix all that stuff and also how to fear getting in. I'm going to do the whole thing I did with myself and what I'm putting my sons through. You'll be able to accomplish beating that anxiety, that, performance anxiety is what it is. I'm afraid I'm going to do it wrong. I'm afraid it won't be like your trades are. I'm going to show you how to get past all that stuff. But for someone that's new, and I give them this model to start with, it's a looking glass. And it allows them to focus on what? Look for 5, be content with 3. And by conditioning themselves over and over again, intraday, using 1-minute charts, it gives them several opportunities per day to challenge themselves to have that experience. It's like a laboratory experiment. And you're going to be prompted to do that. And it's going to be viewed by the trolls as, oh, look at this is dumb. No. It's to help you become indifferent to the outcome, which is exactly what you need as a trader. When you put a trade on, you know that this is what your model says it should do. You also know that it's usually more times than not correct. So if it's more times correct than it's not, if it fails, it's not going to cause you to wig out. You're not going to say, oh, well, I'm going to have to jump on something else. This doesn't work anymore. You'll trust that this is a speed bump. That's all it is. It's not a roadblock. It's not a barrier. It's just something that didn't give you what you were wanting that time. Just like getting turned down on a Saturday night at the club. She's good looking, ain't she? Yeah, she is. You finally had the courage to go up there, and you went long on one contract trying to get 5, and you didn't get nothing. You got stopped out. As you said, I'm not interested. Sometimes the market's going to do that. Ladies, you're not exempt either. Sometimes it's just no. I hope he asks me out, and then you see his wife sit down next to him. Sometimes you're going to get full margin too. So, by conditioning yourself, looking for something that's realistic and practical, 5 handles as a beginning, I think is reasonable. It's easy, in my opinion, but it's also powerful because if you can develop the confidence to see this repeating, you're going to see a whole lot of fucking setups. A lot. And you're not going to be fearful of missing anything. Why? How can you get to the point of ICT never fearing missing a move? Because I see them fucking coming at all angles all the time. There's a lot of them. The point is you have to find the ones that you like. I literally walked through on Thursday with the GDP number with my son. I said, look, here's something that can happen here. This is what's going to happen here. It was doing exactly what I said it was going to do. But I said, but I want to see the trade that goes up to the fair value gap. That's my trade. That's the one I want to do. But even though I'm calling it live right there in front of everyone that was listening to us, that's what it's like to be, well versed in this. You can see lots of 5-handle runs, up and down. And you're never going to be fearful, which means what? You're not going to be impulsive about getting any losing trade right away back. Just because I can see lots of trades, and I can see them coming, and I can engage on all of them. My experience has been, when I've done that, I lose sight of where I am, and when the bigger moves come, because it's like a game after that. Like I'm like, okay, I did this one, I did that one, I did this one, I did that one, and I forgot, oh, I'm supposed to be looking for this. And it's my obsessive compulsive, this takes the better of me, and I don't do well in that situation. So which is why I did what with my trading. I have to be highly selective. I want to be in the moves that have the best potential for the big runaway runs. I know how to find them, but if I either missed them because it happened before I got through the charts, or it happened when I was sleeping, that's a move I can't participate in. You can't either. I'm not getting up and saying, oh no, Bitcoin just moved 10,000 points over the last 6 weeks or whatever. I don't give a shit. That's not my market. I don't wake up and look at the S&P and say, oh shit, it moved 20 handles overnight. I wish I could. No. I can find 20 handles in the day doing 5-handle runs, up, down, up, down. Here's my 20 handles. I'm not worried about it. And you won't be worried about it, which is where you should be as a trader. You need to know what you're looking for, what you're going to accept as a trade that incurs risk, and be comfortable with that. And if it fails, you're not going to lose your mind about it. You're not going to be in a hurry to try to find something that really isn't in the chart. What you're trying to do is impose your will. You're looking through that looking glass in a losing position. You're in drawdown. You're going to manifest your next setup, even when it's not there. Why? Because you don't have a clue what you're doing. You don't know your model, because if you knew your model, you would sit still until it formed. Maybe you watch live streamers. Some of them don't live stream anymore because they wreck themselves. The ones that do it, if they're impulsive, if they go in and try to overcome and do more than they're supposed to, study them. If you know somebody that's like that, tell me who they are and a tweet to me. That way I can watch them and see. I don't want to go there and troll, and I'm asking none of you to go there and troll. But if it's someone that you see that is impulsive, that's a wonderful social experiment to study and observe them. Not to bring hate on them, not to make them feel bad. That's not what this is. But if they're willing to put themselves out there like a fish in an aquarium for everybody to look at, that's a perfect experiment for you to see what not to do and watch them feel the anguish and struggle, trying to do something, expecting some specific outcome that's never going to come because they're just reacting to price versus predicting price. I saw a tweet by a guy. I'm not going to name him. we talked once, not directly, but through online posts and such. And he posted something to the effect that your job is not to predict the market, but to react to price. Okay, so that's some grade A bullshit right there, and that's the reason why your results look like the way they do. And sir, you know who I'm talking about. It's you, and I'm not going to try to say anything more than that. But you have to predict the price. You have to. That's what every winning trader is trying to do. So how the fuck can you say your job is not to predict price? That's exactly what the fuck we're doing. That's like telling the football teams, your job is not to go get touchdowns. What the fuck are we here for? I'm here to predict the future. We're here to predict the fucking future. You can't. Think about what the fuck you're doing. You're trading futures, for fuck's sake. It's in the name. That's what you're doing. That's what the fuck we're doing. We're predicting the future. And when I see these people say your job as a trader is not to predict the future price movements, it's to be ready to react to price. How the fuck is that sound logic? That doesn't make any bit of fucking sense. That makes no sense at all. What the fuck? That makes no sense. And that's not the only person that said it. It's regurgitated. And it's posted all the time in shit from people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. How can you spend, seriously folks, holy shit, how long did it take for you to see me calling these things before the fact to know that, you know what, this ain't random anymore? And once you get to that point, okay, once you get to that point where you know it's not random and this shit is controlled, does it make any bit of fucking sense to listen to somebody tell you, or the world tossing out an opinion into the abyss of the internet, say your job as a trader is not to predict price, it's to be ready to react to it? How can anybody that has spent any considerable time with me proving what it is that I teach and show you what the real market is, how can anyone palate that? How can you accept that or even entertain it as a reasonable fucking consideration for what we do? Nobody fucking can do that. Nobody absolutely would accept that. Let me explain why that is perpetuated in this industry. This thought process is a very soothing excuse for why they suck. And there's no nice way of saying it. It's for people that don't know how to predict price. And it's a wonderful excuse for them to be able to lean on, cozy up to, and say, well, it's impossible to do anyway, so therefore I shouldn't feel bad about it. You bought the hook, line, and sinker that is in books. You can't predict price. No one can time the market. Well, I should change my motherfucking name to no one, because I'm proving it every fucking day. And guess who else is doing it? My fucking students. You're seeing them taking trades that I don't even talk about, but they're using the logic that I've taught. So guess what that means? All the other bullshit is horse shit. Grade A. So yes, our job is absolutely predicting price. But in the beginning, you don't know how to do that. So how do you protect yourself from it? You go in with baby steps. Gradually teaching yourself to trust your ability to do it. Also, condition yourself. Build in coping mechanisms for bad character flaws, impatience, impulsiveness, gambling. All those things that you don't think you have right now until you start pushing a button. And then you're going to discover you're a fucking train wreck.